Nicely done. Now you can shut it off. What do you think of the tractor?
Good.
It's good. You like driving it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing real good. Hey, we've been using the tractor a lot here on the farm for all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, like lifting and lifting people with the scoop in case we need to put things up high and then nobody can reach.
So we've been using it a lot, huh?
Yeah, and the water can go as high as it can over the tractor if we need to.
Yeah. You know, I lifted telephone poles over the top of our 8-foot tall fence yesterday, over the top of it.
Whoa.
We couldn't do that with the old tractor.
Yeah, we couldn't because it can only go 8 miles high.
8 miles high, yeah. The other thing that we couldn't do is lift a full bag of feed with the old tractor. Remember,
Yeah.
I had to get little bags and pull a bunch of them off the pallet, and
Yeah,
it was a lot more work.
Yeah, and it was way worse because the old tractor was so the littlest, and this is the second tractor that we have.
Yep. That being said, we have been working on some things to improve the tractor, right?
Yeah, and we built a new grapple for it.
We built the grapple, yeah. One of the things that has bothered me, maybe it's normal for some of the other brands. I can only compare it to my experience being mostly John Deere. I know, here we go again. It's not a dog John Deere video, it's a Provide Solutions video, so just hang on.
Yep. So my dad wanted a way bigger tractor.
Right.
So this is the one he wanted to buy. So it's a TYM.
That's right.
TYM.
Do you remember the model number?
T474.
That's right. Good job.
I just looked at the engine.
Well, don't tell them. You remembered it in your brain. Just play it off.
Okay.
So anyway, one of the things that's bothered me is the 3-point on this tractor.
Yep.
I'm not gonna, I'm just gonna tell you how I see it. No matter how I set the top link, there's a lot of pitch change with height change on the 3-point. On the John Deere, on my 2038R, the top hole basically gave you parallel, parallel is the right word, but gave you a consistent implement angle regardless of the height. So I could lift something up and it's going to stay, if it was level at the ground, it was going to stay level up high.
Yep.
I had this in the highest hole, which is best case for that, to combat a pitch change issue.
Yep.
And it's still a lot of pitch change as I lift and lower implements.
And we can have a hitch on the forklift, but not the scoop.
Yeah.
Because the scoop is not wide enough.
Okay. Even simple things like hooking up that ballast box, as I drop this 3-point, it basically, the quick hitch needs to be, the top link needs to be basically directly above the lower pins.
Yeah.
The top hook and the lower pins.
Yeah.
Well, if I get that all the way down to the ground and it's straight up and down, by the time I just lift up, just to even hook into the implement or into the weight box, it's already pitched a bunch. So I end up having to back into it to get the angle right. And by the time I get it lifted all the way up, in fact, it'll hit the fenders. I have to be careful at lifting all the way up because it will hit the fenders.
If you put all the way up. So sometimes when you pull the lever for it all the way up, sometimes it won't go all the way up.
Yeah. So one of the, I brought this up in a different video and I got some pushback saying that my quick hitch is not, it's my quick hitch's fault, not the tractor, because it's a taller quick hitch than some other quick hitch, I guess. So, and I brought up the point that there's got to be some kind of standard for 3-point implements or 3-point hitches.
Yeah.
It wouldn't it doesn't need to be that complicated. You know, it's been around for 100 years.
Yeah.
There's got to be a standard. And I was told, oh, that's the problem. There is no standard. Now, nothing against the guy who said it. He thought he was right. I really didn't know. But that got me to digging. And guess what I found? I can pull it up here. An ISO document, which is international, ironically stands for International Organization for Standards.
Sometimes you just have to be careful with it.
Hey, let me talk. And it's ISO 730. It's labeled agricultural wheeled tractors, rear mounted 3-point linkage categories, and then 1 through 4. And what this spells out is exactly the international standard for 3-point hitches, both on the implement side and the tractor side. I was like, this is great. It's going to show me that my quick hitch is not standard. Maybe this is my problem. So from what I can pull from this, you want to back up for a second? What I can pull from this document, they call the distance between basically where the implement hooks in from the top pin to the lower pin a mast height. And the standards in millimeters, and I didn't write this stuff down. It was roughly 18 inches, like 18.4 inches, or maybe 18.1. I think that's right. And I think mine measured 18.4. So it's 0.3 inches taller than what would be defined as the international standard. Now, if you measure back where, you know, in the top hole where the top link hooks in, that distance to where the lower arms hook to the tractor, those pivot points on this tractor are like 15 inches. Should have brought my tape measure. Maybe not even that. Maybe they were 13. Anyway, yeah. A far cry from 18. Now, I'm not saying TYM adheres to this standard or made any attempt to or has any requirement to. But if somebody's going to say there's no standard, look it up. There is. The other thing I noticed is on the John Deere 2038, and I'll put a picture up of this because I snapped one after I sold the tractor. I went back and looked at it closer. The holes for where the top link attaches to the tractor, as you go up, the hole, the attachment hole gets closer to the frame of the tractor. So instead of 3 holes in a line vertically, there's a lower hole, a middle hole, and a top hole. So raising the link helps keep the implement from pitching, but also moving that pivot point in toward the tractor helps as well. So I think it's a combination of things. On the TYM, it's the top hole not being high enough, and what I mean by that is the pivot point for the lower arms and the pivot point for the top link. There's not enough space here, so it should be a little taller in a perfect world, and or this top link hole should be closer to the tractor frame as you get to the top hole. You know, lower hole, middle hole, top hole, whatever. After I put this photo up, I noticed something kind of interesting. If you compare the top link attach point to the lower 3-point arm attach point, again, this is on my 2038R, you can tell that they're almost in the same vertical plane. The top link might be 1 inch, maybe 2 inches aft, if you were to drop a level from that bolt to the lower arm pivot points. On the T474, that's almost a 7-inch difference. So the top link attaches 7 inches behind the imaginary vertical line going straight up from the lower arm attach point. I think this is a significant factor in why it performs in the way that it does. I had done some math ahead of time to see where that pin would have to be located to get true parallel travel on the 3-point implement, meaning the pitch wouldn't change from low position to high position, and it was about a 5-inch difference on the T474, which would make total sense after seeing this picture of the 2038R. So I think this is a significant factor in why the tractor performs in the way that it does in relation to the 3-point implement movements. I can see no situation in the wild west that you would ever use anything other than the top hole for the top link on the 474. It's maybe for a post hole digger, I'll give you that, but nothing that actually has a top link. So this got me to thinking, is there a solution to fix this? What I'm going to do is, for the sake of argument, I'm going to remove the quick hitch, because I don't want somebody once again saying everybody knows you can't use a green quick hitch with a red tractor. So I'm just going to take this off. It makes my job a lot harder hooking up implements, especially with a jerky 3-point of this thing. But anyway, I'm going to remove it. I'm going to put on an implement, and we're going to do some testing. So be right back.
And this is going to be serious.
Okay. My first question is, Rhett, was this easier than hooking up with a quick hitch or harder?
Harder.
A lot harder, wasn't it? Yeah, it took a lot longer. No comparison. This was more difficult. Yeah. Yes, you have telescoping 3-point lower arms, and that makes it possible. Does not make it a quick hitch. Not even close. But this is one of my most useful implements, or at least it does something that saves me a lot of time. It's a big tree saw, or at least big for this size of tractor. It won't keep up with a skid steer tree saw that that's hydraulic powered, but it does great. We have a lot of cedars and little hedge trees and hackberries and that kind of stuff, and between the grapple and this tree cutter, man, I can clear some cedars. It's great. And it doesn't, it's real rocky around here, and chainsaw, you hit a rock, and I've had people argue with me that chainsaw is faster, and it's not true. I don't have to worry about limbs hitting me or whatever. He's back into the tree, cut it up, turn around, grab it, carry it off.
Yeah,
so anyway, I like it.
Yeah, sometimes.
Now, here's how this has to operate. Mm-hmm. Normally I would have this pitched back just a hair, but for the sake of what I want to show, the blade itself is level right now. The only control, the only way you control how fast you cut the tree is how fast you back up. And so the blade's got to be pretty much level with the tractor, because otherwise, let's say you're pitched down, as you back up, you're cutting right here, you're pushing the blade into your cut, and it will bind.
And it's sharp.
It's sharp. Likewise, you're pitched up, same problem. The teeth are bigger than the blade, the body of the blade, but not significantly. So it can be a little bit out of level, but not much. The other, well, we'll start with that. So the way I've got it set right now, the other thing is, a lot of times I'm on level ground, but a lot of times I'm on a hill. And so I have to pick this up a little bit to cut, a tree higher on the hill or a tree lower on the hill.
Yep.
And again, you can't try to cut flush with the hill. I wouldn't want this pitched up, because as I back up, it just doesn't work that way. It's got to be level with the tractor. Leveling it right here, almost against the ground. I'm within ½ degree of level. So let's say that I'm backing up onto a hill, cutting a tree, or even with the cedars, a lot of times there's a branch down against the ground and I just can't get underneath it, so I'll cut above it first and then go clean it up from another angle, or even with a chainsaw. So let's say I'm cutting you like how jerky this 3-point is, right? Can you imagine trying to modulate this saw, trying to lift it just a little? That's as fine of adjustment as I can make. Now going down, it's fine. Because you're just letting fluid out. We're kind of getting into a different topic here, but this is at idle basically. As slow as I can lift this. And no, it's not a linkage problem. It's 100% a valve problem. A lot of things about this tractor, I like how they're designed. This issue is a terrible design. I don't care who you are, what you say, that's a terrible design. Maybe other tractors do it the same way. John Deere's do not. So I have to cut in again here and show you the 2038R lifting the 3-point in small increments, and compare this video to what you just saw with the T474. So it is mechanically possible to not have this issue. I wish TYM would address it. Anyway, different topic. I haven't figured out a solution for that one yet. But let's say you're backing up to a tree. You need to cut that high. So now I'm 6.5 degrees out of level. And you can probably tell that by looking at the saw. Now when I back into this tree, the blade's gonna bind. And it does have a friction clutch, a slip clutch, which is better than breaking something, but it's gonna bind. And then you're stuck. You can't, unless you go get it from a different angle, in which case you'll be going down the hill. So you'll need to have this below level. And guess what? It's gonna be pitched the other way. That's just one example. I'll go ahead and lift this saw up higher. Good grief. So this is an example of the amount of pitch the implements have with this setup, this 3-point geometry. I need to slow my rate of drop down a little bit. It'll help coming down slower. But again, some implements it doesn't matter. The disc, it does matter. A lot of people have suggested a hydraulic top link, and that is a solution, but it wouldn't be a solution here because I don't know where level is. If I'm backing up and I hear the blade bind, I can maybe look back and say, oh, it looks like it's pitched up or down a little bit, but that's the whole beauty of being able to raise and lower and keep the implement parallel to the ground. Then it doesn't matter. You back into a tree, you raise it up, you back into another one, you drop it down, you back into another. It doesn't matter. It's going to be level. There's no trying to find level with hydraulic top link. I'm not saying they're bad. It's kind of like a Band-Aid in my mind. They're useful in other cases, box blades and things like that. But this is a Band-Aid solution. It's not an advantage to have a hydraulic top link here. I don't use a box blade. I do have a regular blade, like a blade in snow. That would also be an issue here if you were, blading dirt that wasn't just on flat ground, especially if you had the blade at an angle. As you raise the blade a little bit, now the leading edge of that blade is digging in and the trailing edge is off the ground. Likewise, you lower it, now your leading edge is off the ground, your trailing edge is digging in. So not having the ability to keep your implement level on the fly is a miss in my book. A disc is the same way. I want to set the pitch and the force on the gangs by looking at it before I start disking. I don't want to be trying to adjust on the fly. Maybe it'd be nice, but it's an easy implement. It doesn't require that much adjustment on the fly. Once you get your forces set in the front of the back disc, you just go. You can should be able to raise and lower as necessary without pitching way up into the air. So anyway, that's enough complaining.
YouTube.
Now I want to show you it's not a solution, but it helps a lot. What do you think? You ready to fix this issue?
Yes.
Okay. So, here's the parts that I made. Now this is 3/8 steel, welded, ground down. It's not going to win a beauty contest, but it's basically 2 pieces of 3/8 steel, offset to account for being on the inside of the ears on the tractor, and then a pipe to kind of keep things, roughly spaced evenly. And I don't have the actual correct pins for it yet, but here's how it works. It goes on the inside of the ear, through the first pipe, into the second piece. I need to get a shorter pin for that bottom one, but to the top hole, there's another pin. Okay, now, as you can see, this relocates your top hole from here to up here. Now, it doesn't really move it forward. I was a little bit afraid of breaking this rear remote coupler. So there's clearance underneath it, and there's no way the top link can hit that coupler. I would have liked to move that hole an inch or two back, but I couldn't do it comfortably. So that's it. There's two pieces of metal. I could have made them one solid piece. I don't know that it would have done anything strength-wise, and I don't know that it's necessary. But the way this works now, now that's my attach point. Hopefully you can see the significant change in the angle there, and we're going to test what kind of difference it makes. I've had this off for the last couple of weeks just in preparation for, actually I was painting it, and I can tell you it was irritating as heck hooking up literally anything without it after having it on there. Made things a lot harder, didn't it? Now, I did put a picture of this piece on one of the TYM Facebook groups, I believe, and I immediately had somebody tell me there's no way that's strong enough, you're going to break the ears off, you know, it's dangerous, all of the normal Facebook police things. And honestly, I did not find this picture that I'm about to put up until after I designed this part. But I was digging through, actually I was looking to see how the larger TYMs did it, if their geometry was any different. And I think I stumbled on the 754, 654, 754, something like that. They have a piece almost exactly like this from the factory. And I'll put that picture up on the screen. It's the same thing. So first of all, that tells me that they recognize in those larger tractors that this is an issue. It's too bad they didn't recognize that here. But more importantly, those tractors lift like 3,000 pounds or 3,500 pounds or 4,000, some ridiculously higher number on the 3-point than the 474, which tells me this is plenty strong enough. The back ends look almost identical. The thicknesses of the metal where the top link hooks up is the same. So I have no issues with strength. I'm not concerned about this breaking. Now, I'm not saying go make your own necessarily, but if you're not a good welder and don't kind of know what you're doing. But I'm not worried about this. So what do you say? You want to do some testing?
Yes.
Why don't you go start the tractor for me?
Gee.
All right. First of all, I need to set level again. I want to be quiet on the ground. Yeah, that's pretty good right there. So this is higher than we were, I think, on the first test. And that's 4 degrees. I think we were about there, maybe. That's 2 degrees. Let's go all the way up. So, I'm not saying that this fixes the issue. I wish I'd have measured all the way up before. Because it still has a lot of pitch. Still pitch change is significant. But I do think it's better. Now this implement is a hair over standard as far as mast height. It's like 19 inches versus 18. So it's going to be a little bit more of a pitch change. I really don't want to take that piece off again, but I guess if I have to, I will. So we're level against the ground. This is all the way up. 34 inches. off real quick. All right. Well, there's level. All the way up. That was an accident. We were 34 inches before, and we're 43 inches now. So 9-inch difference in how much this thing pitches over its range with that piece. All right, you want to shut the tractor off? You want to shut the tractor off? You can jump down.
Go down?
Yeah, you can. No, you can jump down here.
Okay.
Come down here. That thing makes it better, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What do you think? As I get this hooked up, I don't want people misunderstanding, thinking that I think the tractor is a piece of junk and you shouldn't buy one or any of that stuff.
Yeah.
It's still, I mean, it still is doing things that I couldn't do with the old tractor. My hope is maybe somebody will see these videos, guys that make aftermarket parts or even the company, although based on the response I got when I asked about the jerky 3-point, I don't expect a lot out of, I don't want to say that, it sounds bad. I don't expect to see a quick solution for a lot of these things. I think as they get more and more into the US market, they probably will come up with some better designs and solutions. But for right now, I think it's just what we got. It's still a good tractor.
Yeah.
It still has lots of power. It's still easy to drive, isn't it?
Yeah. It's still good, even if it's not perfect.
That's right. It's still good, even if it's not perfect.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be perfect.
No. I had mentioned putting a video showing what I had done there on the 3-point, and again, hopefully it's useful.
Yeah.
Use what's useful and throw out the rest, I guess. So, well, I guess we got some stuff we need to get done, and we'll go do that, and maybe next time we'll
talk
show 'em.
about the 4-wheel we're bowling or the one-wheel, whatever.
Yep.
Yep.
Next
And one more thing I need to tell you. My dad hooked up, put the two boxes on tractor.
I did.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, maybe we'll show them how we did that sometime. What do you think? You want to go do some chores? Maybe practice shooting your bow?
Yeah.
All right. Well, tell them we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
What farm are we in?
BRCD.
There you go.
Remember, we get you.